Right, 24 December 2024, and today I'm going to be giving you my evening update. And as usual, if you see me in the evening, it means something big has happened or is about to happen. So I've been talking about this over the past few days through observing what was happening, the lack of the vice presidents around Mangaba. So I've mentioned that over the past few weeks, we have seen Mangaba walking alone without his vice presidents. That is Kembo Mohadi and General Chiwenga. I have also mentioned that it is my belief that Chiwenga either went or accompanied Mohadi or went to check on Mohadi. That is why he was not available. And obviously, Opam Chinguri was very close to Mnangagwa over the past few days. So what has happened is my sources have revealed to me what is happening, and that is the fact that Kembo Mohadi is currently hospitalized in India. So I've known that he's hospitalized, and I've also calculated it, but I've now got the name of the hospital and where he is, and we just need to see what happens over the next 2 or so days. It's going to be very important. I said to you, the 27th is the day for Zimbabwe, because it's 3 months after Mnangagwa tried to enter the Great Zimbabwe. And I said that everyone who was there during that meeting at the Great Zimbabwe, there's going to be serious repercussions for those people. Most of the people that were at the Great Zimbabwe with Mnangagwa, when he tried to do a ritual, you're going to see what is going to happen to them within the next year, 2025. Most of them, 2026, Avashike, Wakomana out. So, General Chiwenga, obviously, over there in India also recently, but I do not know the date of this picture. This picture was released for certain reasons, and I do not know what were those reasons. However, what I know is that Kembo Mohadi has been sick, and he was sick in public 3 times this year. The first time was in May, the second time was in June, and the third time was in October, including the time when he almost collapsed while reading his speech in public. So Mohadi has been sick 3 times, and the latest was in October when his security details forced journalists to delete photos of his illness in public. So he was very, very sick in public, and journalists were told to delete pictures of his illness. So that is less than 2 months ago, and he has become even more sick. I've tried to check with family members of Mohadi. Unfortunately, they don't want to say anything, but someone else has given me those details to say where he is and which hospital he is at in India. So Mohadi is a very interesting character. He was fired by Mnangagwa after they give me a cup interview or leaked video. Mohadi is involved in a serious fight, or was involved in a serious fight with Mnangagwa's sons over gold in Matabeleland. And after he lost the fight, Mnangagwa put him back in government. So Mnangagwa put Mohadi back in government to checkmate Chiwenga, because he doesn't want a strong vice president. Mnangagwa wants a weak vice president. That is why he put in Mohadi. So after that, Mohadi became a puppy for Mnangagwa, and he was walking around with him everywhere and basically chanting the ED 2030 slogan so that they could sort of like neutralize General Chiwenga. So that is Mohadi here recently, less than 2 months ago, and now very, very ill in India. And we're just waiting for the imminent announcement of whether he has recovered or not. And you know, this situation is not it's not interesting to us. What is interesting to us is what happens to Mnangagwa. not what happens to Mohadi. So let me see what else we know about Mohadi. He was born on 15 November 1949. He is Kembo Campbell Mohadi, and he's been vice president since 8 September 2023. Remember, he was just hanging around after he was fired. So he is the vice president, the second vice president of Zimbabwe, or the junior vice president to Chiwenga. So let's see what happens. I just wanted to give you guys this update so that you understand. I know it's Christmas Eve, and most of you are already waiting for Christmas, but it's very important. These next 3 days are going to be critically important in Zimbabwe. You're going to see things you've never seen. 2025, it's a dangerous year for anyone who is in government. People are going to drop, and before the end of this year, we're going to be back at the Heroes Acre. I said it to you. So before Tuesday next week, we're going to be back at the Heroes Acre. But something even bigger is going to happen. We're expecting something even bigger to happen in Zimbabwe. Then I want to obviously look at the situation in Mozambique. The situation in Mozambique has reached another level. The government of Mozambique has collapsed after the announcement of Chapo as president. Soldiers are starting to join protesters to do a lot of unlawful and crazy stuff like looting. So there's a video that is circulating of soldiers assisting people to loot a warehouse. This is national. The government of Mozambique is failing to control the country. Mozambique is too big and is too wealthy. So there are people right now who are in little parts of Mozambique and they're doing anything that they can. Security is very weak under Frelimo. Frelimo has failed to manage this country. And this government of Chapo is not going to survive. Chapo is not going to be president of Mozambique. They will try to assist him. South Africa is trying to assist. South Africa wants Chapo to be in power because of the reasons that I've given you in the past. So I'm going to replay that video sometime this week. I don't want to go through the whole situation in Mozambique and how it's connected to South Africa and the banks of South Africa. The banks of South Africa have invested billions in Mozambique, and I'm going to unpack which banks are involved in South Africa and why the South African government is trying to put back Frelimo into office. Because if Venanzio Mondlane gets into office, there's going to be massive changes in Mozambique, and it's not necessarily what the South African wants. The South African government wants connected individuals in South Africa right now are in charge of gas deposits worth $50 billion offshore. So the offshore gas deposits of Mozambique of 50 billion are being controlled by a group of South Africans, and also a lot of other minerals under South Africans, the pipeline under South African, the coastline of Mozambique under the South Africans. So they don't want Venanzio Mondlane to go into office and create a proper government. At the moment, we don't have a government in Mozambique. There is a little group of people that is not able to run or control or secure the country. That is why they don't want Venanzio Mondlane to get into the office, which he won. So Venanzio Mondlane is won. He is the person that legally won the election. But the rigging was done by Mangaba in Mozambique. And Jonas has explained here in full details how they rigged the elections in Mozambique. More people voting than people who are there in the constituency, ballot paper stuffing, and no agency, no international agency accepting the election result in Mozambique because of that, what has happened over there with the rigging. So I want to bring it to an end, and I'll give you more updates in the morning. Kembo Mohadi, the vice president of Zimbabwe, the second vice president of Zimbabwe, hospitalized in India, and I now know the name of the hospital where he is in. And I think it would be fair for me to just give you the location, not the hospital. So there is a place called Kela. So that is where Mohadi is. So what I'm displaying here is Vice President General Chiwenga, who was recently there, and I believe that was visiting or somehow accompanying Kembo Mohadi or seeing the state of Kembo Mohadi. You also know that we recently have one vice president dying. So this vice president, Pelekezela Poko, the former vice president of Zimbabwe, died over there, which means we now have two vice presidents of Zimbabwe who were hospitalized in India due to the collapse of the healthcare system in Zimbabwe. Right, so I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas. It's been an amazing year. And day one, I was this day here. I showed you day one. This is the day when everything started. 31 March 2024. The day when Mangaba was in a helicopter with the Wikinochi 5 and Chiwenga boycotted. This is the most important day in the history of Zimbabwe. The day when the pretense between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga stopped. And Chiwenga is now watching his back. Mnangagwa is watching his back. And a lot of things are going to happen in 2025, starting from this day at Mbungo, where Mnangagwa boycotted, Chiwenga boycotted Mnangagwa. It will never happen that Mnangagwa boycotts Chiwenga. The two people cannot boycott each other. It's only one person. The junior boycotting the boss. That is when it becomes an issue. It's like when the dog bites a man. It's a story. But when the man bites a dog, it becomes a very serious story. So this is what we're going to see in Zimbabwe. Men biting the dog. Right, I would like to end with this story here. So there is attempts to attack Duma Boko and say Duma Boko is undemocratic and so forth. Guys, Duma Boko is a nice guy. So if you see any story that says Duma Boko is working with Mnangagwa or whatever, that's fake. This guy will never work with Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is not in the same caliber. The only person that can work with Duma Boko is Chamisa. Chamisa was very popular in Zimbabwe. So there's currently a story that says this guy here, Talent Rusere, has been arrested because of Duma Boko. That is fake. Talent Rusere is no one. This guy is not a representative of anything or anyone. He is not a SADC, anything. There's no organization called SADC. I don't know what they call it. Let me show you the tweet so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. There's currently a tweet that says he's been arrested at the border. And this is from Masungomira, right? Professor Talent Rusere, chairman of the Southern Africa Human Rights Lawyers Commission. This guy, there is nothing called Southern Africa Human Rights Lawyers Commission. Talent Rusere is not a professor, is nothing, no one, like, literally, I get annoyed when I see people calling me a professor. He's not a professor, he's not a doctor, he's not a, I don't know what else, he's not a lawyer, this guy. This guy used to work with Mnangagwa on a project by a lady who is in Dubai, if I can call it a lady. So I don't want to mention a name right now because my blood pressure will just rise. Like, in fact, let me mention it. Edith Chibam. Google Edith Chibam, then Google Talent Rusere, so that we can finish this thing. This guy is not a professor, and everything that they're saying about Duma Boko is fake. Duma Boko did not in any way, whatever, cause the arrest of Talent Rusere, because Talent Rusere is not a doctor, is not a professor, is not a human rights fighter. He is a Mnangagwa person who is trying to just tarnish the image of Duma Boko. So I do not believe it, do not believe it. And I would like us to bring an end to this SADC, Human Rights Lawyers Commission nonsense. There's nothing like that. They must show me the offices. Talent Rusere is not what he's claiming to be. And some of the places that I've seen, they tell me that he is still working with Anamnangagwa, and I don't know what they're trying to do. So let's bring this to an end, and let's talk again in the morning. Guys, have your nice Christmas. I'm gonna rope. So it means that Shababla's government has only 2 days left, not 2 days left. I said something very big is going to happen before the 27th. The 27th of December is a very important day. Mark it in your calendar. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Mkoma White says Gambakwe is a ZANU-PF project. I deny it with all my energy. I'm not a ZANU-PF project. I'll never work for ZANU-PF. Mangaba Argurayavan Nenzara. And no young person should support such nonsense that is happening in Zimbabwe. So there's no need to be a project of anything or anyone. Passing ZANU-PF, passing Mnangagwa, passing Mgadzake, passing the small house, Yake. Do you remember that day when I did a protest and I said, Pasi the small house, Yam Mnangagwa, Pasinayo. So that is what I am. I'm not from Mnangagwa. Munuyo, Okuma Shingo. Why is it not being treated at home? Correct, Big Mama. Let him be treated at Bedbridge Hospital. Then we'll say, good, are serious. Guys, I'd like to thank all of you and thank you, thank you everyone who supported us. Today I've had a bad experience. Some guys from Uber have taken our parcels and they've not delivered. And tomorrow I'm going to be displaying their pictures. So I don't like it what Uber is doing in South Africa. First, when you order food, it doesn't arrive. Now when you put parcels on Uber, it doesn't arrive. And I spent hours and hours trying to solve this situation. It's very, very annoying. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And Merry Christmas to you all. And a good night.